What's up, witches? It's Monday, and I do believe it's time for a tarot unboxing. I took a couple minutes to slap some makeup on because it was looking pretty grim, but that's not why you come here, is it? You come here to look at decks. So let's go. This is a deck that I ordered twice. This is the Ukiyoe Tarot by US Games. And just a little side story, I ordered this from Amazon, and it showed up. They sent me the little picture that they delivered it to my porch, and I went out and it wasn't there. And we started looking and looked out the back windows, and there was a package out there, my package, but it was open and the deck was gone. And it's like, okay, somebody pulled a fast one there. So I contacted Amazon. I thought I was just going to be out of luck. Contacted Amazon and said, they said they delivered it and they stole the deck, and they sent me a new one, so I was very happy about that. At any rate, let's zoom in. I haven't gotten just a regular old US Games deck for a while. Look at the boxes coming open. So I've taken the plastic off. Ukiyoe Tarot by Koji Furuta. Now, Ukiyoe is the art style here. This is the block printed color on top of color style, I do believe. The Koji Furuta artist, Koji Furuta, captures the serene beauty of the floating world in Ukiyoe Tarot. This stunning full-color deck artfully portrays traditional tarot symbolism with classic Japanese costumed figures. The 78 cards are numbered and titled in both English and Japanese. Awesome! There's the Hierophant. Includes 78 card deck with instruction booklet and just another title panel. And a title panel there. And I love the way US Games codes their decks. Item number UK78. So it's Tarot. It starts with UK. And this was 1989 and 2013. So 1989 is the first printing, 2013 the second edition. So it's, this is definitely considered a vintage deck at least. I will be giving this little tuck box my tape treatment. And just so you know, because I've watched another tarot reader on YouTube calling the two-part boxes tuck boxes. That's not a tuck box. This is a tuck box where you tuck the lid in, okay? Just because you know me, I'm fussy about things. Here's the LWB. And here are the card backs. Beautiful. This takes me right back to when I was studying tea ceremony, Japanese tea ceremony. Just an incredible, beautiful art. It's an art form, and this takes me back and makes me just feel that wonderful, peaceful, beautiful feeling that I used to get. So here's the Fool. And we see these traditional Japanese style images. So you can tell that these were like block prints. But then he's got pattern designs. So we see traditional symbolism. We see the Fool at the edge of the cliff with his little kit bag and the puppy jumping up on him. And there's the Japanese kanji. Then we have the Magician. We see his coins. We see the katana, the wand, and the cup. I love seeing the traditional things. That style of Ukiyoe, I think it's called Ukiyoe. Oh my God, the word is hanging right there. Lacquer, that's it. Here's the High Priestess. So we are very much in Japanese. If you saw this image not in the context of a tarot unboxing, would you know that is a tarot card? Probably not. Probably not. Hold on one second here. I'm going to see if I can take that down a little bit. I wish that I could have better cameras. Anyway, here we go. So we're definitely more in the Japanese style than the tarot style, but she is holding a scroll, so we know it's the High Priestess. And there's the Empress. I always find interesting these old traditional Japanese styles. You see the little dots? they would like shave their eyebrows off and then put these little dots up here. Very, very interesting stuff. Here's the Emperor, the Hierophant, and the hairstyles. Those samurai hairstyles were something else. You know, shave everything except this strip. The Lovers. We see the angel or the spirit up in the sky. And the Chariot is, what do they call? Oh God, I'm struggling for words. It's weird. All the planets are direct. Mercury is not retro, and I can't come up with words to save my life. Sedan chair is what they've called them. Justice is the number 8 card in this deck, so strength will be 11. Interesting scale there, just the way it's set up. Okay, there's the Hermit, number 9, the Wheel of Fortune. Very much traditional here with the, you know, like the foxy creature coming up one side, the serpent going down the other. There's Strength. So you're definitely going to stick, if you're just a newbie, familiar with the traditional images, you're definitely going to know what you're looking at here. There's the Hanged Man. And Death. Interesting. You know, we've got these look like they might be the dead. Maybe this is what these people look like after they've died. That it's an interesting image there. Let me see if the book talks about the images in detail. Okay, ooh, yes, they do. So let's take a look at this one. The god of the underworld, judge and ruler of hell, is called Emmahu in Japanese Buddhism. His expression is ferocious. He wears the costume of a Chinese judge with the name Emma inscribed on his cap. All men pass before him, and in his eyes their sins are reflected as in a mirror. His sister judges women. Emmahu weighs men's sins and decides the length of their stay in hell and the type of punishment to be rendered. In Buddhist philosophy, death is only a passage from one world to another. Hell is not an eternal punishment, but rather a stage of purification and expiation for wrong actions. After a term in hell, the soul is released to be reborn on earth in animal or human form, or it can even be reborn directly in heaven. If a person has led a life of compassion and goodness, after death he or she can go to a better rebirth on earth or to paradise. Ultimately, a Buddhist's wish is to escape the confusion and difficulty of the cycle of rebirth and gain permanent enlightenment. The groups of people in front of the deity are passing to the realms they have been assigned. The happier group has probably been exonerated either by good actions or by the prayers of the living. The unhappy souls who led harmful lives on earth have been assigned places in hell. The disheveled hair of the women resembles that of the courtesans that Utamaro painted and may indicate that these women are guilty of harming others through sexual misconduct. So there's great detail about the images. There's an intro by Stuart Kaplan, and there's a lengthy intro on Ukiyoe art, and it is the woodblock printing. Talks about other Japanese traditions such as kabuki theater and the Edo artists of the period. It goes through the wow. So there's extensive information in the Little White Book. Then we have Temperance and the Devil. And then I just have to take a look at this one because there's a name showing up in my head, which is Mahakala. And that's a Buddhist thing, but I don't know that they're talking about that particular deity. At any rate, that just says that I'm going to be spending some time with this book because I am a Japanophile. I do love everything Japanese. The Tower, very traditional. The Star, Moon, Sun, Judgment, and the World. And I do feel like decks that were created in, the 80s and earlier, really, by U.S. Games in particular, those decks that started being offshoots of the Rider-Waite-Smith really did stick very closely to that original imagery. People weren't stepping off like they are now, like with the Dreams of Gaia Tarot and these Tarot decks that really are their own systems, which I love that evolution. So here we have Swords, and we're starting with the King. We go to the Queen, the Knight, and the Page. And then we have Pip Cards. Okay, I'm sad. There's a reminder that these are actually, blades are spades. Good way to remember them, blades and spades, but I'm glad they put the spade there. So we just have Pip Cards. And I mean, a few little clues here. There's, clouds and trees, but not a whole lot. There's the 7. The things are arranged kind of the same on each. If there's an odd number, you've got the sets on either side and then the odd number down the middle. It's the 6, the 5, the 4, the 3. Now see, you can kind of get that this one is looking like it's pelting down ice pellets. The 2 and the 1. And then we have the King of Wands, Queen, Knight, Page. Very ornate wands. Those are beautiful. Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then we've got cups. I'm very let down seeing that these have Pip Cards, because I didn't even look at them. I've had this deck for a couple of months sitting here, and I didn't even look, and I'm kind of sad. And there we have the 10 of Cups, the 9, the 8, the 7, 6, 4, and then we see hearts there, 3, 2, and Ace. And then the Pentacles with that the coins with the hole in the middle. There's the King, the Queen, the Knight, and the Page. Seven, 6, 5. I mean, the 5, you see it kind of gets darker. We've got diamonds here. But you're not going to get clues really from the context of what the suits really stand for. So, not a beginner's deck. I think, we owe a debt of gratitude to Pixie, Pamela Coleman Smith, for fleshing out the minors for us in terms that are visually understandable. There are no blocking cards with the deck. Let's get a charcoal lit, and then we'll give it a shuffle. There we go. I'm stingy with my charcoals. I think I'm going to give it a little bit of a cleanse here, too, real quick. Just because I've not done that, and I want to do a reading. You know how we test drive our decks here, huh? There we go. So give it a smoke cleanse, air and fire. All right. And then we'll give it a little bit of ocean water for water and earth. And oops, I just got, look at it, look what I just did. I just got black all over it because I had the charcoal on my fingers. And then we'll give it a little sound bath. All right. Then we will ask allies and ancestors, guides and guardians to come on in. Bring us your wisdom and your support here. Thank you so much. And I offer you fresh water and the fire of Azrael. And I invoke the spirit of divination into this lovely deck. All right. Give her a shuffle. This is U.S. Games. I'm not looking for any surprises here. And of course, there are none. It shuffles beautifully. You know, I'm glad that we're you know, having decks that are really taking aesthetics into consideration, and you know, these beautiful artworks on matte cardstock and stuff, but ultimately we buy these decks to read with, and in order to read we need to shuffle them. You know, we need to be able to invoke that synchronicity principle and let randomness come in and take over, and we should make that easy to do. Oof, okay, they're flying. All right, these flipped. Let's go this way. I'm just going to keep shuffling. Okay, we're going to ask them, as usual, what do we need to do today in order to move from just survival mode into our full strength, our full spirituality, our full potential? How do we do that today? Whenever you're watching this, what can you do today to lift yourself up, to get up on your feet and feel empowered and ready to go? All right. Let's take another quick look into the book. So we have, it talks about the tarot in general and the structure of it. Let me just read a paragraph or two about the art. Ukiyoe art took root during the mid-17th century in the city of Edo, feudal capital of Japan, after the unification of the country around 1600. Edo is now the modern city of Tokyo. The Edo period of Japanese culture and history was named after the city. Ukiyoe was one of the cultural accomplishments of the Edo period and has continued to be one of Japan's most popular art forms. The Ukiyoe movement produced color prints and sketches by artists whose source of inspiration was the floating world of day-to-day Japanese urban life. The wealthy feudal lords of the early 17th century, the shoguns, enjoyed large scenes painted on screens, panels, and murals by classical artists. The development of ukiyo-e tended to focus more closely on individual figures. So these were, and yes, it is pronounced ukiyo-e, not yukiyo. If it's yuki in Japanese, it's yu. This is just uki, so ukiyo-e. Literally translated, ukiyo-e means this wretched world and refers to the transient nature of human life with its fleeting joys and sorrows. Ukiyo-e ultimately described a certain manner of life that artists depicted with portraits of men and women in moments of hope, despair, love, anguish, the whole range of human emotion. Often the scenes of beautiful women and handsome men were erotic. The figures included young men, geisha, female entertainers, courtesans, or the, what are they called? Oiran? Lovers, actors, wrestlers, and samurai. The rising middle class found itself with an excess of money and freedom to enjoy the pleasures of life available at brothels and kabuki theaters. Thus, ukiyo-e was a pictorial representation of life's vicissitudes under the shoguns of old Japan. So, and I'm reminded that one of the reasons that I didn't shoot a video last Friday is because I've been kind of losing my voice for a few days. So, again, let's just go to the deck now and see where it takes us. So we know now that while we're getting long descriptions of the majors with pip cards, all right, now I'm going to be done shuffling. And we're going to take the stack that fell off. I'm looking at the minors when we get to the minors. And it gives a short description of each suit. Swords generally represent courage, boldness, force, strength, authority, aggression, and ambition. These cards indicate activity, progress, and accomplishments for good or bad. This is the suit of leaders and warriors. So we do have lengthy descriptions of the court cards. And then when we get to the pip cards, maple leaves, signs of autumn drift from the trees. Ordinarily, maple leaves are suspicious or auspicious for love, but here they are shown falling to decay on the forest floor to be taken away by the swiftly flowing stream. So there is information in here for the pip cards, just in the form of the plant that's shown. So this is going to be interesting. Okay, we've got 4 cards here. Let's take these first 3. You know, I like to read in threes. And we start with the Page of Pentacles. So we have a court, a minor, and a major. I like that. Okay. Page of Pentacles. Although the samurai's education was complete, and look at, you know, we get this whole thing here for the description. Although the samurai's education was complete in almost all ways, knowledge of mercantile matters was considered below him. Refinement in a samurai was indicated by a complete lack of recognition of his country's currency. Therefore, the coin that the samurai servant holds here is a sign of mental accomplishment rather than a material reward for service. Hold on a second. Pentacles generally represent material and financial matters. Okay, deep sensitivity and involvement. Suit of merchants and tradesmen. All right. The Page of Pentacles stands poised on a road among cultivated fields in the mountainous regions of Japan. His attitude of introspection does not prevent him from being acutely aware of his environment. The lush fields behind him suggest abundance. The servant enjoys traveling with his lord through both lonely and populated regions. He is ever eager for new knowledge and experience and respects the customs of the regions through which he passes. Deep concentration and application, reflection, respect for knowledge, bearer of news. So I want to say that the divinatory meanings, I think these may actually just be the straight up Stuart Kaplan meanings. And he does the introduction here. And he's the one that commissioned this deck. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Then we have the Four of Swords. So Page of Pentacles is starting us off with basic knowledge, the curiosity, wanting to learn, applying ourselves to use the knowledge that we have, just beginning to apply. And then we have the Four of Swords. A peaceful stream meanders among pines. The pine is the symbol of stability and strong old age and is the flower of January. As mountainous plants, they grow near the hermitages, places of rest and solitude where one can contemplate one's position in the world. Divinatory meaning: rest after illness, repose, replenishment, solitude, exile, retreat, abandonment. Straight up the regular meaning. So it's good to know that this deck was commissioned by Stuart Kaplan that wrote all these meanings, you know, and so these, you know, these parts of these images, simple though they are very much in line with what the card actually means. So we have the symbols of a stream flowing, we have January, we have stability and strength, and I guess we can move that into like rest after illness. I mean, they grow near the hermitages, so, but the card doesn't show you that. You have to read this to know that these pines grew near places of rest and solitude. I mean, that stream kind of gives you the idea of letting things flow. I can hook into that. Let it flow. Longevity means you need to, take things slowly to rest. I guess I can get there. But if you're going to use this deck without being really well versed in the RWS, you're going to have some reading to do and a little bit of tweaking and wangling, I guess, to get things memorized. I have the advantage of having that symbol set in my head already, so I can already refer to what I know. Okay, here's the Judgment card. Kwanon, or Kanon, the goddess of mercy, stands in the sky over a traditional Japanese graveyard with blocks of stone mounted on each other. The goddess holds prayer beads in one hand and a wish-fulfilling gem in the other. She is the power that will guide spirits to paradise, and the souls of the dead pray for her intervention. Buddhist doctrine holds that Kwanon is the transformation of Buddha's spiritual son Avalokiteshvara, which is his Sanskrit name, who was born of a tear. Okay, so this is going back to Tara mythology as well, the goddess Tara, that she was born from a tear that fell from the eye of the Lord of Compassion. Avalokiteshvara is the Lord of Compassion. Okay, so spiritual son who was born from a tear that fell from Buddha's eye as he was moved by the suffering of the world. Now, see, the story as I heard it was that Avalokiteshvara was there to save all the suffering beings every day. And he would save them all, and then he'd go to bed, and he'd get up in the morning, and there were all these suffering beings again. And he'd save them all, and he'd go to bed, and the very same beings were suffering again the next morning. And he kept doing this over and over again until finally he just fell into despair, and he wept because he was just never going to get the job done. And this tear fell, and out of that tear was born the goddess Tara, who Kuan Yin is kind of one of the aspects of Tara. And she said, I got this. Don't worry, I got this. Okay. Originally, the deity was male, but around the 12th century, Kwanon began to be considered female. The three souls moving toward their next incarnation pray for rebirth in the Pure Land, where there is freedom from the pain of earthly existence, or for a better rebirth on earth. So they pray to get off the wheel of samsara, which is this cycle of birth and death and rebirth. Atonement, judgment, the need to repent and forgive, the moment to account for the manner in which we've used our opportunities, the possibility that present conduct toward other people is unfair and unkind, rejuvenation, rebirth, improvement, development, promotion, the desire for immortality, legal judgment in one's favor. One should carefully consider present actions as they affect other persons. So, okay, so we've got, curiosity. I usually look at the Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, as some kind of structured learning, taking a class or learning from someone else, some structured, very much concentrated, focused, in-depth learning, not just a random, oh, here's something I learned today, So a course of study, let's call it that, a course of study. And then we've got the rest and recuperation. So we need to... And then we've got this transformation card and rebirth. So how do we go? Let's look at what we've got here. We've got the Hierophant here. Let's do it this way. Okay. So the Hierophant, bridging between the Page of Pentacles and the Four of Swords here, talks about really looking to our teachers and the traditions that we are guided to and that we vibe to, the traditions that really stir our memories, our spiritual memories. So Hierophant also talks about following a program, following a prescribed method of perhaps meditation. Four of Swords could talk about giving yourself a mental rest, swords being air and the mind. And so studying, but doing something in a very structured way. The Hierophant can talk about structure even dogma, but I think it's more like a proscribed way. Here's how you do it, following step by step. And if we do follow a program like this, it can give us mental rest. We don't have to think about what should I do today. If like me, if you're wildly creative about your spirituality, it can sometimes be a burden because it's like it's time to do ritual. I don't have the inspiration and the energy to dig up new stuff and create it all over again each time. So if you do something like praying a mala, or your prayer beads, or just the same kind of ritual thing every day, that can bring great comfort and rest, following those in the footsteps of the masters, kind of. And then we've got the Seven of Wands between the Four of Swords and Judgment. So here's where I'm saying then, from the resting, the mental rest, then we kind of stand up in a creative way, in an inspired way. And Seven of Wands talks about standing your ground. Let's see what we say here. I will go back and look up these majors too. Or the Hierophant. Hydrangeas thrive under a blue summer sky. Hydrangeas achieve what is normally impossible for plants. They bear on the same bush and even on the same cluster flowers of different colors, ranging in hue from pink to lavender to deep baby blue. Thus they are in keeping with the meaning of the Seven of Wands, victory over seemingly insurmountable odds. Okay. So let's look at the Hierophant too. So this does say that if we follow these measured steps and get some mental rest for ourselves, I mean, that card is in the middle, needing to rest mentally. So we do want to talk about their limiting your intake of news and things like that. And then we can overcome. We can surmount this, but we need to rest ourselves, and we need to look for this rejuvenation, this rest and rejuvenation. But it's got to be something where we are following a proscribed method. Okay, Hierophant. A priest sits cross-legged in a meditation posture. His costume indicates that he's a high-ranking Buddhist monk. The men before him are not monks. Their heads are not shaved. They are townsmen who have gathered to hear a sermon. In his left hand, the Hierophant holds prayer beads, which he uses to count his prayers or mantras. In Buddhism, as in Roman Catholicism, specific numbers of prayers are used to achieve the wish of the devotee. The Hierophant prays for the happiness and enlightenment of all living beings, animals and humans alike. His gentle expression denotes compassion and kindness towards all, and his age shows that he has gathered wisdom. Japanese Buddhism stresses that each individual can attain enlightenment in this lifetime, as opposed to the Buddhism of India, which implies that enlightenment, though worth striving for, is virtually impossible to attain for most people. Japanese Buddhism also focuses on the spirit rather than the dogma of Buddhism. Interesting, because this card, the Hierophant, is the card that means dogma to me, and here they're saying that Japanese Buddhism is not focused on the dogma of it, but the spirit of it. Therefore, the form that Buddhism takes in Japan may seem radically different from more traditional forms. All sects of Buddhism in Japan teach that, above all, one must show compassion in every aspect of life. Unconditional love for all creatures is the mark of the enlightened person. So if we step into the context of this deck, and Japanese Buddhism, this is saying maybe it isn't such a rigidly, strict practice that you're going to be doing, but while you've studied and you understand what the strictures of the practice are, you are free to really flow with it spiritually. The thing that's really important in Japanese Buddhism is that you do the work, that you show up to do the work. So Zen, Japanese Buddhism is Zen Buddhism, and It really is all about just being in the moment and dealing with your mind and what goes on in your mind. So this can talk about the resting of the mind, letting go of these swords, putting the swords down so you're not mentally grappling with things anymore. And here, now this Hierophant is talking about doing sitting practice, just being there, maybe doing your mala and doing some mantras, but being there in this restful way, where we can come from a place of taking in a lot of news, taking in a lot of information, but then we need to rest the mind from all that. And here's how to do it. And then through doing this, we begin to overcome. All right. And now the last one we take is the Six of Swords. The cherry blossom is the flower of March on the Japanese calendar. So there's great information in here talking about the plants that go with particular months, and I did learn a little bit of this in tea ceremony, not a lot. It is also the national flower of Japan and is a symbol of wealth and prosperity. Volumes of poetry and much art has been centered on the cherry blossom. When the cherry tree blooms, spring has finally chased away the snow and cold of winter. The divinatory meanings are travel, root, R-O-U-T-E, headstrong attempt to overcome difficulties, expedience, and success after anxiety. So the traditional Six of Swords is the people in the boat, person in the boat, and they're being rowed across the water. They're crossing the water, going through troubled waters, moving forward, able to move beyond. So it is success in overcoming difficulties. To me, it's really a card about the will, about just really pushing yourself forward to get through a difficult time. So I think this last card here is just saying that, one step at a time, that we need to, there's this knowledge and, sitting meditation, actually doing the practice. Now I'm seeing this Hierophant as the actual doing of a practice of one sort or another. And, from judgment, we have transformation and being able to succeed against all odds, and then down into the Six of Swords, saying that we do manage to move ourselves through difficulty, and the promise of spring is right there. So very interesting deck, very interesting tarot deck. I'm happy to have it in the collection. Please let me know what you think down below. What are your ideas? Are you a Japanophile? And if you are, what do you think of this particular deck? I am, again, disappointed that there are Pip cards, but I will be going through, as I do readings with this deck, and looking up the minors to learn these little nuggets of information, the little clues that are given here. The clouds up here, I don't think they mention them, but to me, those clouds are talking about the clouds kind of parting and going away as spring is coming forth. So, wow. If you enjoyed this unboxing, thanks for sticking with me, first of all. And if you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel. I'm here usually on Mondays and Fridays, and I'm here on Wednesday nights for live stream readings, which are going so well, and I enjoy them so much. I'd love to have you there. If you would like a personal reading from me, I have a wish list on Amazon, and it's linked down below. If you want to purchase me a deck from that wish list, I will read for you personally. You can put your name or not in a little gift note with the gift. And if you have a specific question, please give me that specific question. I totally look forward to reading for you. And again, thanks for hanging out with me. Until I see you next time, this is Luna. Blessed be.